West Africa is currently experiencing a period of significant change, with three key players, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, making headlines for various developments. All three countries have experienced military coups recently, raising concerns about democratic backsliding and regional instability. Mali witnessed its second coup in 2021, while Burkina Faso and Niger followed suit in 2022 and 2023, respectively. These military governments remain in power, facing international pressure to hold elections and restore civilian rule. In the most recent turn of events, delegations from Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger held a meeting on Thursday, February 15, to create a confederation after their announcement of exiting the Economic Community of West African States. Burkina Faso's Defense Minister General Kassoum Coulibaly said the talks in Ouagadougou were an opportunity to pursue the implementation of instruments, mechanisms, and procedures, and the legal architecture for the confederation. General Salifou Modi of Niger also said that the procedures will allow their alliance and the confederation to function efficiently. Bear in mind that the foreign ministers of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger approved plans to form a confederation of the three West African nations in December 2023, in Mali's capital, Bamako. This was an attempt to bolster security. The foreign ministers discussed the great potential that a strengthened political alliance offers for peace, stability, diplomatic strength, and economic development. Malian Foreign Minister Abdoulaye Diop mentioned that the recommendations would be presented to each head of state, who were scheduled to convene in Bamako on an unspecified date. The three countries already took steps to deepen their cooperation, including signing a mutual defense pact in September 2023. Establishing this confederation would be a major step toward greater unification in the Sahel. By pooling their resources and expertise, the three countries might address problems like terrorism, climate change, and poverty. Member governments can coordinate military operations and exchange intelligence, for example, to terrorist or other threats. This latest meeting on forming a confederation comes after Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger announced their exit from ECOWAS. A statement, which was aired on state television in each of the three countries, said that the decision to leave was made with full sovereign authority, and that, after almost 50 years of existence, ECOWAS had strayed from Pan-Africanism and the principles of its founding fathers. These military leaders contended that ECOWAS was influenced by foreign powers and had become a threat to its member states and their populations. ECOWAS suspended the three countries following military coups that overthrew their democratically elected governments, in Niger last July and Burkina Faso in 2022, and in Mali in 2020 and 2021. These three countries started working hand in glove after the Niger coup, which ousted President Bazoum. Niger's military leaders announced that Burkina Faso and Mali had pledged their support to the coup leaders and offered military assistance if Niger was attacked. Bear in mind that in August 2023, ECOWAS agreed on a D-Day for possible military intervention to restore democracy in Niger. The bloc said most of its member states were ready to participate in a standby force that could intervene in Niger. This could not happen because of the strong alliance formed by these countries. This withdrawal could worsen the already unstable political climate in West Africa, giving radical organizations more confidence and escalating worries about regional security. The union's market would be reduced if three members left, which may have an effect on investment opportunities, commerce, and economic growth within the bloc. The new military leaders of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso have also accused former colonial power France of instrumentalizing ECOWAS. They have all expelled France, along with the French soldiers who were stationed there. These soldiers were there to aid the Sahelian countries in their fight against the local militants. However, tensions escalated after the coups because the new leaders believed that France had been holding them and its other former colonies as slaves for a very long period. Some even believe France is encouraging terrorism in its former colonies to keep these people coming to them for help, which France will then profit from. France and Emmanuel Macron resisted leaving Niger because they had been exploiting resources from Niger for a long time by installing puppet leaders who will follow their orders. Moscow has not lowered its aspirations in the global south despite Russia's armed conflicts in Ukraine. Over the past year, Russia has given the Sahel region of Africa more attention. Moscow is invading countries such as Mali and Burkina Faso using the renowned Wagner mercenary group, which is now known as Africa Corps. They are capitalizing on policy gaps in the West, growing anti-European sentiment, and the ongoing incapacity of local and international actors to tackle the root causes of instability in the region. Although Moscow pays a lot of attention to its proxies in Africa, its influence is not very deep or wide-ranging across the continent. However, Moscow's increasing influence in the Sahel has alarmed Washington due to the rising instability there. But there aren't many realistic ways for the Joe Biden government to respond. Mali's Minister of Territorial Administration and Decentralization, Colonel Abdoulaye Maiga, said their withdrawal from ECOWAS provided them with an opportunity to achieve real fraternity without any outside interference or manipulation. The Bamako meeting aimed to flesh out the workings of the new alliance, with the ministers emphasizing the importance of diplomacy, defense, and development to consolidate political and economic integration. The statement also stated that the ministers of finance and economy of the participating nations suggested setting up an investment bank, a stabilization fund, and a commission to investigate the possibility of an economic and monetary union. How will a confederation be of help to these countries? The confederation will give its member states more security by combining their knowledge and resources. To counter terrorism or other threats, for instance, member governments can coordinate military operations and exchange intelligence. This confederation will give Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger a stronger voice on regional and international issues. When they speak with one voice, they are more likely to be heard and to have their interests taken into account. The formation of this confederation would be a major step towards greater integration in the Sahel region. It would allow the three countries to pool their resources and expertise to address common challenges, such as terrorism, climate change, and poverty. Of course, creating a confederation could present some difficulties as well, but since these nations have experienced comparable crises and taken it upon themselves to alter the narrative, this will not be an option. However, it is crucial to guarantee that the confederation is answerable to the citizens of each of its member states. The confederation must have a clear organizational structure and open decision-making procedures. To do this, a confederate parliament or council representing the people of the member states must be established, along with channels for public input and involvement in confederate decision-making. As all this is going on, bear in mind that Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the man leading Burkina Faso since the September 2022 coup, suggested in a recent interview that his country might soon abandon the CFA franc as part of an effort to break all ties that kept them in slavery. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have repeatedly shown that they value autonomy over expediency. Their position on the euro-pegged CFA franc appears to be unwavering, even though analysts and specialists think that pulling out of the CFA would be riskier and more difficult than pulling out of ECOWAS. In November of last year, the finance ministers of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger declared that they would take the idea of creating a monetary union under consideration. All three countries' top leaders have stated that they are in favor of abolishing the currency, though to varying degrees. Among other things, they suggested setting up an investment bank and a common stabilization fund. The head of the Niger government, Abdourahmane Chiani, said in a state television interview that abandoning the CFA franc would be a statement of sovereignty and a necessary step in ending French colonization. Abandoning the 8-member West African Monetary Union and adopting a new currency would further isolate Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, who have called their new union the Alliance of Sahel States. It should be noted that this idea of a new currency is not only coming to Africa now. Muammar Gaddafi, the leader of Libya, was terminated as he was about to introduce a world currency supported by large reserves of gold. Many claim that Gaddafi was terminated because other countries' economic interests would have been endangered by this new currency. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana also spearheaded a valiant effort to create a union of African states headed by a common African government. He had an unflinching belief that Africa's unity and coherence would catalyze the continent's development. However, his objective was never achieved due to the self-serving interests of the West and the fierce opposition of African leaders, most of whom were afraid of losing their sovereignty. No one else has made the case for continental integration more forcefully or with a greater sense of drama than Nkrumah. Although most African leaders regard the whole idea of a United States of Africa as wholly unattainable in the foreseeable future, Nkrumah, even after death, has kept the debate alive through his books and the continuing influence of his ideas. The proposed confederation between Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, born from their recent withdrawal from ECOWAS, stands as a crossroads for West Africa. While its potential for fostering regional cooperation and shared prosperity is undeniable, the path forward is paved with challenges and uncertainties. If managed effectively, it has the potential to benefit not only its members, but the whole West African area by increasing security, fostering economic growth, and acting as a role model for regional cooperation. However, neglecting to deal with internal issues, address economic difficulties, or preserve stability in the region can result in increased tensions and instability that might affect not just the Confederation, but possibly the whole region. An alternative path might see these countries exploring other forms of collaboration outside a formal confederation, focusing on specific areas of mutual interest. The decisions made by the countries involved, their capacity to resolve internal issues, and the reaction of the international community will ultimately determine whether this proposed confederation succeeds or fails. The situation is still unstable, and tracking its evolution closely is essential to figuring out how it can affect West Africa in the future. Assimi Goïta, Abdourahmane Chiani, and Ibrahim Traoré have earned the faith of Africans, as is well known, and they are all waiting to see how this confederation will be formed. Do you think more African countries should join these nations? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.